Hello, South Lebanon families. This is Mr. Brown, the principal over here at South Lebanon, and I want to take a moment to do a year in review video for you. And I also want to give you some reminders about some upcoming events and policies, procedures, things like that that we've implemented this year. So I'll start with some of the policies. I want to talk briefly about attendance. Um, we've noticed that some of our students are having attendance, they're absent, and we want to make sure that our students are marked appropriately for attendance. And I want to remind you that even though you call into school and tell us that your child is going to be absent, we still need a note, and that's something that's required by state law. So please make sure that you send that note in. We can make sure your child gets it to the main office. If your child's having trouble getting notes or getting buried in backpacks or things like that, it is perfectly okay for you to email Mrs. Burkheiser or Mrs. Emmerich your parent note, so we know. Another item that I want to discuss is our parent drop-off procedures. So many of you that drop off on a regular basis may have noticed that since we came back from the winter break, we've we've got we've started letting kids in a little bit earlier. So we let kids in now at 8:45. One of the reasons for that change is that we noticed that some of our kids were really rushed, that some of our kids that eat breakfast were really rushed, and just the number of cars that we have dropping off, it causes a little bit of a traffic backup. So we've changed that start time to 8:45. It gives us just a little bit more time to get our students into the building and get our students started with their day, so they are ready to learn right at 9 o'clock. I do want to remind you that students must be in the building at 9 o'clock, and we will be closing the doors at 9 o'clock. So please make sure that you're here and in line at 9 o'clock. And if for some reason the line extends past 9 o'clock before you can let your child in, we will certainly let your child in without marking them tardy. A couple of other things with the parent drop-off procedures. We've got prior to break, we started putting cones out, and those cones are just to remind everyone of the traffic pattern that we have to go one way coming through our drop-off loop. So that's really important because we don't want people going around our cones and taking the risk of injuring our staff or, most importantly, our students. And so we ask that you cooperate with us on that, and I know that you will. And one other item with parent drop-off are the cones that we've been putting outside right at the doors. We've put 3 cones out at the doors, and the purpose of those cones is so you know where to pull up, and we ask you to pull up to a cone and drop off. We put 3 cones out, so you should be able to drop off 3 students at a time. I also encourage you to make sure your child has their backpack ready on their lap when they ready to get out of their car. That just makes our line move even faster. So I thank you for your cooperation, and our parent drop-off has gone very smoothly, and we continue to monitor things and make any changes that are necessary. Now I want to move on to some 2018 highlights for the year. So as you know, you have a new principal here, and that's me, of course, and Mr. Ferguson retired, and we wish Mr. Ferguson well in his retirement. I've seen him a couple of times, and he's really enjoying himself and staying very busy. So again, we wish him well. Some events that happened in the fall. We had our annual Race for Education sponsored by the PTP, and our kids did an awesome job of raising money. And the purpose of those funds are so that the PTP can fund the field trips. So our students have to pay little to nothing out of pocket for our field trips. They provide books to students. They provide many learning opportunities to students, and provide resources to our teachers as well that they can be used in their classroom. So we really thank our PTP for their support. We also had a Red Ribbon Assembly in the fall, and Red Ribbon was a week-long event, and we taught kids about perseverance. We taught kids about making sure that they're their best selves and believing themselves, and also making sure the kids know to stay drug-free. We capped off that week with our Zonda Kids Dance Assembly, where our kids learned a lot of new dance moves, and myself and the rest of our staff, many of the rest of our staff, learned how to do the floss in front of 600 kids. So that was a lot of fun. That was a great time, and another one of those moments that we can just say that we know was a memorable moment for our students. Speaking of memorable moments for our students, some of the things that are going on this year include some positive office referrals. Many of you have received some phone calls from your student and myself, uh, sharing some good news that they've gotten a positive office referral for being a good citizen, working really hard, showing compassion, showing leadership, and we'll continue to do that throughout the year and recognize our students. So I think that's a really awesome thing for our kids, and our kids are so proud. They get to sit in my office in my desk chair and make that phone call, and it's just something that some of this speaks volumes about our students. We've done almost 100 of those calls since the start of the year, and we're not even at the 100th day. So we're averaging over one call a day, and that is fantastic. I'm so proud of our students. Um, Another event that we had right before Christmas break was a special visitor. We had Connor Baywick. Connor is a former South Lebanon student who signed his first Major League Baseball contract, and he came to talk to the students about perseverance and never giving up and following your dreams. So Connor's message was very powerful, and we're really proud to see Cedar Crest and South Lebanon graduates moving on to do great things. So we wish Connor well in his endeavors as well, and we encourage all of our students to make sure that they are working as hard as they can. Um, so those are some events that happened in the 2018 school year. Some chorus concerts and band concerts as well, and our kids just did a phenomenal job, and I'm just so proud of them, as I know that you are as well. We thank you all for your support, and we encourage you to follow us on Twitter and Instagram to make sure that you're keeping up with the day-to-day happenings that are happening at South Lebanon. Also, in the newsletter above, check out our December highlights. Try to put some highlights from social media into each newsletter that we send out. Again, thank you all for your support, and I wish you a safe and happy New Year. Please don't hesitate to give us a call if we can do anything to serve you.